Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. It's team news time as we look ahead to Gameweek 11. My name is Joe and as ever I'm joined by Fantasy Football Scout's editor Neale. Neale, welcome. How are you?
Not too bad, Joe. Yes, I think we've got 18 of the 20 teams today. Nottingham Forest and Luton still outstanding.
Okay.
But we might get those while we're on there.
Okay, rightio. Just before we go on, just welcome those who've joined us in the live chat. Lots of you here: FPL Big Head, Dennis, G-Wiz, Brad, FPL Alexander Arnold, Patrick, Monkey, G-Wiz. I've already said again. Big Tips, Dragonlet, Alex, and Richard Saunders Irving. To give him his full name. Thank you very much for joining us. I did say we were a couple of minutes late because Neale was plugging his mic in and some select speculation from G-Wiz that it's actually me holding up because I was putting on my mascara, which obviously no one can see because I'm wearing glasses. Okay.
Usually that's the case.
But that is usually the case though in my pre-glasses wearing days. It's the mascara. Let's start off with Fulham against Manchester United. We'll start with the home side first. What shape are Fulham in for this clash?
Not too bad. They're getting 3 of their 4 players back very, very soon, possibly even for this weekend. That's Kenny Tete, Adama Traore, and Tosin Adarabioyo as well. They're all going to be late calls. They've been out for quite some time, so they're just assessing match fitness at this point. Issa Diop is the only outstanding name on the injury list, and he should be back after the international break.
Okay, and as for Manchester United, big news regarding an injury in their midfield, isn't there?
Yeah, Casemiro, who actually came back from an injury in that EFL Cup game against Newcastle on Wednesday, but then he sustained a hamstring problem now. So that's going to keep him up for, I think, several weeks. I saw written on the Man United website. Okay. So he's obviously not going to be involved this weekend, and neither are the pre-existing injuries. So that's Lissandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, Amad Diallo, and Terrell Malacia. Jadon Sancho, of course, still on the naughty step. Wan-Bissaka is back, though. He came on as a substitute against Newcastle, so that's a possible threat to Darlow going forward. Varane is fit, confirmed by Ten Hag this afternoon. Lindelof is the only fresh concern. It's just an illness with him. Okay,
so I know Maguire has been appearing on a number of benches of FPL managers' teams. So it sounds like Maguire's got a bit of competition now. So he might not start.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Lindelof being ill helps in that respect. So I think it'll probably be Varane and Maguire at centre half. There is obviously Johnny Evans still lingering in the background as well, but I think he's kind of shown recently that he's kind of lost whatever pace he had. Not that Maguire's got that in abundance, but yeah, I still think Maguire's probably gonna start this weekend.
Okay, that'll be handy because on paper, usually this clash could be a good clean sheet opportunity for Manchester United, but on form, Fulham are actually a better side at the moment. Yeah. So take of that what you will. Let's move on to Brentford against West Ham. Home side first. Again, what's the latest with Brentford?
Yeah, much like Fulham actually in that they're getting some players back. So they've still got Kevin Schade and Rico Henry on the long-term injury list. Ivan Toney suspended, of course. 3 players who are back on the grass, aiming to be in full training next week, or certainly after the international break, and that is Keane Lewis-Potter, Mikkel Damsgaard, and Josh De Silva, the erstwhile budget hero of last season.
Yes.
Shandon Baptiste is the 7th man there. He's already in training, and he played for the B team on Tuesday.
Okay, and as for West Ham, they've got some issues in midfield this week, haven't they?
They have, yeah. 2 players out suspended because of yellow card accumulation. So that's Lucas Paqueta and Edson Alvarez as well. So there'll be changes there. They are getting someone back from suspension, actually. That's Emerson at left back. And the only injury concern that I'm aware of is Kurt Zuma. So he wasn't part of the squad to face Arsenal on Wednesday night. He's got a knee issue. I think his scans come back all right. It's not too bad. And he's done a little bit of training, but Moyes is still unsure as to whether he's going to be involved.
Okay, moving swiftly on to Burnley against Crystal Palace. The garden centre clash, as Mark Southerns would call it. What shape are Burnley in for this?
Mixed bag, really. I think they're missing Lyle Foster at the minute, who's bagged a few goals this season, and it doesn't sound like he's going to be back for this one. He's been ill, and company even said that he might not see him before the international break.
That's a pretty serious illness then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that is. Normally when you see a player get flagged with an illness, it's 75%, like 99% of the
Yeah, it's
time.
usually a bad cold or something. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But he's missed 2 games in League Cup now, and by the sounds of it, he's not going to be involved against Palace. I should add that company is sort of a bit like Cooper in that he tells you odd fib now and again.
Ah, okay.
Um, Jordan Byers could be back though.
Okay.
I think he's still 4 million in FPL.
Yeah.
He could return. He's one of the I think of the first names on the team sheet when he's fit. So it's just a question of if he is that this weekend. They have had Manuel Benson, Aaron Ramsey, Ekdal all out recently. I think they're still sidelined. Obafemi is just back. He's been playing with the under-21s. One in, one out in terms of suspensions. So Connor Roberts is back, but Josh Cullen is now banned.
And as for Crystal Palace, a big name, at the beginning of the season, very well-owned player, could be back. He's a differential, as I found out this week when we mentioned him on the Goals Imminent video.
Yeah, and his price has dropped quite significantly, hasn't it? I think is it now 6.1.
Yeah.
It is. This is Eberechi Eze, so he hasn't been out too long actually. It seems like he's been out for ages, but I think it's only been about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
He is going to be in the squad according to Hodgson. He's not just on the cusp of return; he will feature at the weekend,
Wow.
possibly even from the start.
Okay.
Hodgson said yesterday. This was part of the embargo section last night. He said he's still got to clear it with the sports science teams as to whether he can start or whether they've got to keep him up their sleeves on the bench.
Okay.
So, he's going to be involved at least. So is Tyrick Mitchell by the sounds of it as well. He came off last weekend with a core injury and he's trained all week.
Yeah.
Expecting 2 of those back. Alicia is nearly back. He's in a further boost. He's going to be back in training next week, they think, and potentially involved in Gameweek 12. So they really are getting a few players back. Someone who won't be back is Nathan Ferguson. Of course,
wow.
Hamstrung, and it's quite a serious one. So I think he's going to be out for a while. And on top of him, Dean Henderson and James Tompkins are out as well.
Okay. I think when we looked on Tuesday at Eze's ownership, it was 3.2%, which I couldn't believe because, as I said, I think it was like 18-20% last times I'd looked. So, if you are a lot after a 1 week punt or a quick differential, Eze, well, it's not even a 1 week punt. Palace, great fixtures. Eze back. This could be the week to get him because if he scores this week and he's back, then his price is going to start to rocket up. And it could be an interesting differential this week. Everton against Brighton. Speaking of differentials, Everton's full of cheap, good differentials at the moment. So is Brighton. Let's go with the home side first. What shape are Everton in?
Pretty good shape, Joe. Yeah, they've got Ashley Young back after suspension, which just leaves the 3 long-term injuries. Dele Alli and Andre Gomez are still out. Seamus Coleman is nearly back. He's going to play with the under-21s this weekend to get match fitness, and then pretty soon he'll be challenging for the first team as well.
Okay. As for Brighton, some news about their fullbacks.
Yeah, one bit of good news, one bit of bad news. So this is Stupinan and Lamptey. Lamptey's fine. He's been declared available for selection. Right. Stupinan not. So we saw him in the grass, I think, last week, didn't we? Ahead of the Game Week 10. Didn't feature then and isn't going to feature this weekend going to De Zerbi. And he said he didn't know when he's going to be back. They didn't want to risk anything. I think he's been out about a month now, roughly. Is that right? I think it's around about then.
Yeah, it is that,
so I'll watch that back fully later on to see exactly what he said, but he's not going to feature this weekend anyway.
Okay.
Hopefully not too far away. March, Welbeck and Siso, they're all longer-term injuries. And Jakob Moder, remember him, out of action for 18 months with a knee injury. He played for the under-21s last weekend, so he's closing in on a comeback as well. Okay,
of the great Moder and Solly team names of the time, takes us back a little bit. I did the my guesses for the Brighton team sheet, which is always sort of, if I'm lucky to get 8 out of 11. But for this one, I think it would be a surprise if Lamptey starts, but you never know. But I would imagine he'll come on because they might be looking towards Europe or even that Sheffield United game for Lamptey to start. So which means we could see the return of the back 3, which was seen last time out, which we saw Dingra and Matoma sort of wing backs, but without the back bit, just wingers basically. But yeah, so yeah, it's still a bit of a minefield. You know what you're getting into as FPL managers when you're getting a Brighton player in. They may start, they might not. Might haul off the bench, might not. But that's the situation. Man City against Bournemouth. Any news at Man City? There's often not much.
No, I mean, we weren't aware of anything apart from De Bruyne, who's long term. And Pep wasn't asked about team news in his presser. There will be an embargo section later on, I think, 10:30 p.m. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay. But as I say, we're not aware of anything. Akanji's back from a ban as well, so that really is only De Bruyne on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. Bournemouth, this was one of the press conferences yesterday. So let me just dredge up their team news. No new fitness concerns from Wednesday. They've still got Adams and Neto out injured. Lewis Cook still suspended. Fredericks and Marcondes are nearly back, but yet to rejoin team training. And Randolph is out with a health issue. They did get one player back in that cup defeat to Liverpool. That is Marcos Senesi. He was missing last weekend as a precaution, but he's fine.
Okay, just a reminder to everyone in the live chat, and also if you're watching and listening back, do press that like button. It really helps us out. And do subscribe as well if you're not already, so you can keep up to date with all our videos and podcasts. Already in the live chat, Frank Smith a little while ago was waiting anxiously on Lyle Foster news, and then we gave that news that he was ill, and then he said, oh no. And J77 Lag is looking forward to Eze being back, so there could be someone there having an early punt on Eze, who's going to be popular if he should bang this week. Okay, Sheffield United against Wolves. Another Garden Centre clash. Wolves, they are without Pedro Neto, I understand.
They are. For a few weeks at least. O'Neil isn't sure the timeline just yet. But he won't feature this weekend and he won't feature in Gameweek 12 either. So definitely the other side of the November international break. And then we'll see from then on. So he joins Hodge and Hugo Bueno on the injury list. Bellegarde is the one player that could get back this weekend. He's been in training and should be fine.
And as for Sheffield United, they're half their team's usually injured. Is that a similar situation?
Yeah, I think 9 still red flagged. 4 of them could be back next week, which is positive. And that is McBurney, Ahmed Hodgic, Lowe and Asula. They're all closing in, but not available this weekend. Longer term, they've got Egan, Davies, Basham, Norrington, Davies, and Jebison. Baldock is fit, now the cheapest player in the whole of FPL, 3.8 million, I think he is now. There's no one that cheap. He could start. He came on last weekend as a substitute on his comeback from injury, and Heckenbockham said yesterday that he's in consideration this weekend.
Okay. Rightio. More people are joining us in the live chat. FPL Bateman, FPL Jogger, Uproar, and more. FPL Jogger, who lives very near me, is pointing out this really great weather. Yes, it is outside, but I'm inside doing this. But yes, it was good today earlier when I did a dog walk. Certainly better than yesterday, which was a little bit storm hit in the UK. Let's move on to Newcastle against Arsenal. This is not a Garden Centre clash. This is drop everything. Could be a top match here. Newcastle, what shape are they in?
Yeah, not good. I think we've overtaken Sheffield United as the most flagged team in the Premier League. So where do we start? Longer term ones: Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy, Elliot Anderson. They're all out till probably around about Christmas or afterwards. Isak is now the other side of the international break, so that's game 13. Matt Targett joined that list on Wednesday. Came off after 5 minutes against Man United. Hamstrung. Going to have a scan and it doesn't look good. Tonali's out for 10 months with a ban, of course. Miley and Manquillo, who are backups, they're either ill or injured. Botman is the sort of significant one, I guess. It sounds like Lascelles is going to be starting for quite some time.
Oh.
So Howe said today that they're taking it day by day with Botman, and they're going to see the next few weeks what the course of action is. One of the reporters asked later in the presser as if Newcastle were biding their time to see if he needs knee surgery, and Howe said he wouldn't be miles away. Okay. So I think that injury could be more serious than what we were first thinking. The other centre-half who we usually start is now flagged as well, but this isn't serious. It's Fabian Schär. Now, I saw a question about this on Twitter just before I came online, and I was asking you, Joe, I think, in the thread about...
I gave a cheeky response.
So I've got a quote here from Howe. It wasn't actually widely reported, but I've watched the presser back. He was a little bit under the weather, according to Howe, on Wednesday, so he didn't travel. He did go on to say he should be okay for Arsenal, and I expect he will be.
Okay.
The doubt is that he says, let's wait and see how he is today. So in that situation, FPL's got to flag him because there is an element of doubt.
Okay.
It is a very small doubt, though.
Okay, that sounds like very minor illness,
Yeah.
unlike some of these other ones that we've been hearing about. And as for Arsenal, there were a few notable absentees due to fatigue. We thought over with the amount of minutes they played last time out. But what's the latest there from Arsenal?
Yeah, so I'll start with the injuries. There's 4 red flags, and that's Gabriel Jesus, Partey, Smith Rowe, who's a fresh addition, and Timber, of course, who's long term. Okay. Now, last weekend we saw Gabriel and Odegaard benched. It turns out Odegaard had been carrying a little issue, is what Arteta called it, but also he'd accumulated minutes. And that is what we think is why Gabriel was benched as well. So after last week's win over Sheffield United, Arteta said after the game that they'd been totting up the minutes over the previous 3 weeks and then deciding on the team from there. And Gabriel was top of the list.
Okay.
He played, I think, 450 minutes for club and country. He hadn't had a rest since early September. He played, I think, 14 consecutive matches for either Arsenal or Brazil.
Okay.
In all competitions. So we're hoping, and certainly I am as a Gabriel owner, that was just his well-earned breather. But we shall see, because we thought something similar was happening in Gameweek 1, and lo and behold, I think he was out of the team for 3 weeks then, wasn't he? And eventually came back in Gameweek 4. But fingers crossed, it was just a rest.
Okay. Big call from G-Wiz in the live chat to everyone to press that like button. There's well over 500, going on for 600 of you here, but we've only got just under 100 likes. So I'm sure you all love it. So do press that like button. It does help us out there. Lars is asking, any chance Luis Diaz plays? Well, we shall find out in a second, or rather in a couple of minutes, because first we're going to have a look at Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa. Now, I didn't see any tweets about Nottingham Forest, so we'll go for our Aston Villa first, and then you can give us what latest you have from Forest. What's Villa's situation?
It's pretty good because they're about to get Alex Marino back. He's been out for a while, and he has returned to training this week. And Emery said this afternoon that he may be involved against Forest. They are still missing the long-term ones, Mings and Buendia, and Ramsey isn't going to be back till after the international break. But good news on Marino. That's obviously has implications for Luca Digne. He's a threat to his place. Maybe even Matty Cash as well, because sometimes Emery likes lopsided build-ups. So one to monitor. I don't suppose he'll start this weekend. He'll be on the bench at best. But in the medium term, that's another bit of competition at the back. The only other line of note, and I haven't gotten an update on John Duran. He's a backup striker anyway. He missed out last weekend with an infected toe.
Okay, rightio. And Forest, I haven't seen anything. We just got no latest, I believe.
No, unfortunately, Cooper was down for 2:30, and whenever you see the Forest press conference time, you've got to add about an hour or two onto that because the reportage of it is delayed. Right. And it's what 20 past 3 now as we film. So head on to the Scouts website after we're done, and I'll bring you the latest on that article there.
Great. Okay. And moving on to Luton, Liverpool. Once again, I haven't seen much Luton news. So let's start with Liverpool. And lots people in the live chat asking about Luis Diaz, because obviously there's that situation with his dad has been kidnapped. So mentally not in a good place to play, but he is back in training, I understand.
Yeah, he's trained once, according to Klopp, and then that must have been on Tuesday because they were in EFL Cup action the following day. Klopp said the decision's going to be left to him, the player himself, whether he wants to be involved this weekend. He did say that he hasn't getting much sleep, understandably, with the way things are. We're hoping for positive news. I think it seems more positive than it was. And Liverpool aren't playing until Sunday, so there is an extra couple of days for him to potentially be involved. If he is involved, I very much doubt whether he's going to start. I think it'll be a substitute at best. As for the rest of the news, 4 still red flagged. Robertson's obviously the headline act from that lot. Doak, Bajcetic and Thiago still red flagged as well. Jones is back from suspension. There was more glowing praise for Darwin in the press conference, which was a complete change from last season when it was very lukewarm on him, wasn't he? When he was talking about the press conference, but he was just effusive in his praise this afternoon, talking about how everything's different this season and he's in a good moment.
Okay, so that would seem likely. We're looking at Darwin, Jota and Salah up front. That would seem likely. Okay, and Luton, yeah, no latest we have got there.
Well, it's the same thing again. I've just seen some quotes starting to filter through about something separate, like transfer news from Luton. But again, I'll bring you the latest on that when that lands, and that'll be in the article roundup on the site.
Okay, and finally, another exciting match on Monday when Spurs host Chelsea. How are Spurs, and in particular Doggy? Lots of doggies in a lot of teams at the moment, so a lot of people be wondering what's happening there.
Yeah, no guarantees he'll feature this weekend. Sorry, on Monday. Definitely won't feature this weekend, but he might not be involved in Monday either. He is 50-50 according to Postecoglou. So he, I think it was muscle tightness cited, but then I've seen ligaments claimed elsewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, Postecoglou says they're going to see how he progresses.
Okay.
They've still got a few days, of course. It is Monday night match, which gives him a bit of an extra chance. But yeah, he's still working his way through it, and 50-50 at this stage is what Postecoglou says. Davies, I think, is even more of a doubt. He started at left back in game week 10, but he's had a knock, and I think Postecoglou said he was unlikely to feature.
Okay.
We could see Emerson Royal at left back against Chelsea, and aside from that, it's just the long-term ones: Solomon, Perisic, and Sessegnon.
Okay. I saw something by, I think, Paul O'Keefe, who's often quite accurate with his Spurs news, and he was saying that he understands that Doggy has got ankle ligament issues, and the prognosis is 2 weeks out, and I think he's 8 days into that from whenever that was, whenever that diagnosis was. So I think it's looking like it's unlikely he'll play. You never know, but it's looking very unlikely. But it's not looking long term. It's looking like he could be back.
Yeah, exactly.
12. Yeah. So he's not a hard sell at the moment. As for Chelsea, they've had quite a few injury problems this season so far as well. What's the latest there?
They've got Reece James back from injury, and now he started his first game in the Carabao Cup against Blackburn. And Pochettino said they're going to see over the next few days whether they can start again or not against Spurs on Monday night. They got through it unscathed at least. In terms of injuries, Mudryk is back in training. Broja has been in training as well. He's been treatment for knee irritation, but Poch said he could be on the bench potentially against Spurs. They've still got 6 out, so that's Ben Chilwell, Lavia and Kunku, Fofana, Chalobah and Chukwuemeka. They're all red flagged.
Rightio. And I've got a bit of a roundup so far of some of the key headline news there. In the fit to play column, Eze is probably the key one there. He's in the squad and he could even start. So he's only 3.2%, or rather was a few days ago, 3.2% owned. That will go up soon if he plays and does well. Broja, it's unlikely to start, but is definitely fit. Should be in the squad. Is that my understanding there?
I think it's more likely or questionable. I think Pochettino said he couldn't say for certain whether that definitely would happen, but he's nearing a comeback.
Okay, anyway. So he's in between fit to play and questionable. Mitchell is fit to play though, Wan-Bissaka and Lamptey, so lots of good fullbacks there ready to play. James's fitness is questionable. Could play, might not. Bayer, fitness questionable, but yeah, could play. Diaz, he's got that terrible personal issue with his dad being kidnapped. Odegaard, I put him in sort of between questionable and fit to play because I saw the word should play, not will play. So I think Odegaard's more in the fit to play category for this one. Such an important match. Lindelof, or Lindelog as I've called him there for some reason, so apologies for that typo. Illness, Zuma fitness, Moreno fitness as well, and major doubts. The Doggy, just because some of the things I saw, he's very much not at the very end of the timeout that he should have for rumoured to be ankle ligament issues. Target at Newcastle's got hamstring issues. That could be bad, but we don't know the full diagnosis of that yet. Foster's got this illness at Burnley, so unlikely to play. Davis as well with Spurs, fitness issues. Duran has got a toe issues, infected toe. It's all the Netos are out. So last week we Neto at Bournemouth was out with ankle, and Pedro Neto has unfortunately joined him as well with hamstring issues. Neto did say he was going to be out for a couple of weeks, but that will definitely take him out up to the international break, I would imagine, at least. Isak's still out with groin issues. Botman looks like he's still out with his injury. Smith Rowe is now out with knee issues, as Partey is as well, and Jesus. They got muscle issues. Casemiro has joined the injury list at Manchester United with hamstring issues. While Lamptey is back for Brighton, Estupinan is not, unfortunately. His hamstring issues have got the better of him this week. Could be back game week 12. We'll find out next week on that one. Alvarez and Paqueta at West Ham are suspended. So problems in the West Ham midfield there. I think I've covered most of the bases there. And yeah, one thing to add.
Late breaking Luton news. Everyone's been waiting for it. As you were.
Oh.
So six still red flagged. Bell, Burke, Anderson, Potts, Berry and Clark still out.
Rightio. Okay. Okay. Big news there. I thought we had to say something like Morris was definitely out or something like that. But okay. I hope we've given you all the team news you want there, and you can go away and make your transfer decisions now ahead of the deadline. Good luck in Game Week 11, and good luck, Neil, with your Game Week 11 team. And we'll see you next week ahead of Game Week 12. See you soon.
Bye-bye.